Hello everyone, this is Dr. Zhao. In this video, I will provide an overview on job intelligence. That is the job opportunity analysis to identify dream jobs. Once you build up expertise, you need job intelligence to make your career choice wisely. Let's first define a dream job. For most people, a dream job is something that you like to do and can make you tons of money. More specifically, most people may prefer a job with a higher pay but a lower effort, more growth opportunities, and job security. Sounds like too good to be true. But if you make your job decisions based on data, you may actually achieve it. Basically, you have these three decisions to make. Region, where to locate. The preference may be given to economically prosperous regions because they have many job opportunities. Second, industry. Which industry to enter? This is important because if your industry does not have a future, neither will you. The third decision is on companies. Which company to work for? You may prefer those companies that can outperform their peers on profitability, growth, and financial health. The details will be covered in Week 4 lecture on job intelligence. To perform the analysis, we use the data of the S&P 500 companies because they are representative in their respective industry sectors. And many of them are well known that people like to work for. Finally, we limit our study to these companies so the amount of data is manageable but not overwhelming. To put the S&P 500 companies into perspective, let's compare their total revenue and operating profit with those of the publicly traded companies in China. From this picture, we can see that in year 2017, the S&P 500 companies have a total revenue larger than all the publicly traded companies headquartered in China, which is the second largest economy in the world. Indeed, 95% of the S&P 500 companies are headquartered in the United States, with the rest headquartered in European Union. We shall use GCPS, the Global Competition Positioning System, to perform the analysis. This is a benchmarking system with three parts, and each answers a different group of questions. The first part is Business Geographic Information System, which benchmarks regions and answers the questions of where, such as where is the money, risk, and jobs. The second part is Industry Analysis, which benchmarks industries and answers the question of in which industry we can make more profit with less effort. The third part is Enterprise Diagnosis, which benchmarks companies and answers the questions on competition positioning, such as the strengths and weakness of a company. Using the Business Geographic Information System tools, we want to answer the following questions. Where are the economically most prosperous regions in the US in general? And where are the most economically prosperous regions in the US for specific industries such as information technology, financials, energy, and healthcare? Using the Enterprise Distribution Tool, we found that in year 2017, California, New York, Texas, and Illinois have the most S&P 500 companies, and thus they are the economically most prosperous states in the US. If you want to work in IT, information technology, clearly you should move to California. Right? There are many more firms and profits in California than Washington, which ranks the second. If you want to work in energy, clearly you should move to Texas. Right? In the energy sector, there are many more firms and profits in Texas than Oklahoma, which ranks the second. If you want to work in financials, clearly you should move to New York. New York has many more financial firms and profits than California, which ranks the second. If you want to work in healthcare, the top choice would be New Jersey. New Jersey has more profits than California and New York, which rank the second and third in the healthcare sector. Now let's move on to industry analysis to answer questions such as which industries to enter. More specifically, we want to answer the questions such as which industries have the highest profitability, which may lead to a higher salary, which industries have the highest growth, which may lead to a more promising career path, and which industries have the lowest financial risk, which may lead to a better job security. Let's first do a revenue versus cost analysis on the S&P 500 data. In general, the higher the revenue, the higher the cost. There is a strong linear correlation between the revenue and the cost for these companies. However, individual companies' performance can differ significantly. For instance, Dollar Tree spent about $20 billion in year 2017 and made $22 billion. Facebook, FB, on the other hand, spent about the same amount of money in year 2017, but made $40 billion. This means that using the same effort, companies can generate very different returns. Dollar Tree and Facebook clearly come from different industries. These examples imply that if you enter different industries, you may have very different money-making potential. To see the impact of industry on profitability, that is, with the same amount of effort or cost, how much money companies can make in various industries, we should first use the tool of operating income versus cost. The x-axis is the total cost of a company, and the y-axis is the operating income of the company. The slopes indicate the profitability of the industries. We can see that the best industry, that is the industry with the smallest effort but made the biggest profit in year 2017 for the US, is IT, Information Technology. AAPL stands for Apple, which is followed by telecommunication, financials, consumer discretionary, healthcare, and consumer staple, and so on. Suppose you select industry to enter, let's say IT. Then the question is which company to work for. To answer this question, we should use the company diagnosis tools to identify companies in the same industry that have the highest profitability, highest growth, and lowest financial risk. The tool of operating margin versus revenue can position these companies in IT industry relative to a profit frontier. The intuition is that larger firms typically have a smaller profit margin because the revenue is the denominator for the operating margin. Thus, if a firm is high in both revenue and operating margin, then the firm must be very competitive. Given revenue, the firms with the highest operating margin form a profit frontier, implying that they are the best in their revenue classes. For example, Apple is both bigger and more profitable than Google in year 2017, and Google is both bigger and more profitable than IBM. Thus, from this picture we can see that Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, and Visa are on the profit frontier, and thus the best in their revenue classes. We can also compare the firm's competitiveness on risk and return. We can see that a higher risk does not always give you a higher return, which implies that you could have a high return and no risk or liability in the same time. So this picture shows the risk and return of the S&P 500 IT firms. We can split the area into 4 regions: low risk and high return. For example, in Texas Instruments and Facebook. High risk and high return. For example, Apple and MasterCard. And lower risk and lower return, such as Google and Corning. And high risk and lower return, which are Motorola and Netflix. Companies in the last category may find it hard to survive. Let's recap. Job opportunity analysis is the job intelligence. We need to make intelligent decisions on the right region to locate, the right industry to enter, and pick the right companies to work for. Doing so, we'll get plenty of opportunities, a higher pay with a lower effort, a promising career path, and job security. In another word, a dream job.